Have you ever stopped to wonder how your smart speaker actually gets you? I mean, really understands what you're saying? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most powerful brains behind that magic, Google's Dialogflow. We're going to break down how it turns your simple words into real-world actions. Let's dive in. You've probably said something just like this yourself. It feels so simple, right? So direct. And this is a real-world command that a huge brand like Domino's uses to connect with customers. But what is actually happening in the background when you say those words? And that right there is $1 million question we're tackling today. How does that string of sounds, that simple sentence, get translated, understood, and then acted on to kick off a whole process like ordering a pizza? It's not really magic, but it's pretty close. It's technology. The answer is something called conversational AI. And you should know, this isn't just a cool gimmick. It's a fundamental shift in how businesses talk to us, their customers. A lot of people see it as the next giant leap in e-commerce. And Dialogflow? It's one of the main engines making it all happen.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this brain actually, think? We're going to break down the core components, the absolute building blocks that make every single one of these conversations possible.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the agent. The easiest way to think of it is as the main project folder for your entire chatbot. It's the virtual personality you're building, and its main job is something called natural language understanding, or NLU, which, look, is just a super fancy way of saying it knows how to listen and start the process of figuring things out.
So, once the agent hears you, its very first job is to figure out your goal. What do you want? This is called an intent. You could say, I'm hungry for a pizza, or get me a Domino's, or I want to order food. The words are different, but the core intent is exactly the same. Order food. The bot is trained to see past your exact phrasing to understand what you're really trying to do.
But just knowing you want to order food isn't enough, right? The bot needs the details, and it gets those details by pulling out key pieces of information called entities. So if the intent is order food, the entity might be pepperoni pizza or a large Coke. These are those critical little nuggets of data the bot needs to get the job done right. Now, conversations are rarely just one and done. That's where context comes in. It's basically the bot's short-term memory. So if you say, order a pizza, and the bot replies, what kind? Context is what lets the bot know that your next answer, pepperoni, is about the pizza you just mentioned. It's the glue that holds a real back-and-forth dialogue together. Look, at the end of the day, a bot that only talks is just a toy. Fulfillment is where it gets real. This is the step where the bot actually connects to your business systems to do something. It uses something called a webhook. Think of it like a private phone line to your database to check if something's in stock, confirm a price, or, in our Domino's example, to officially place that pizza order. So when you put all those pieces together, you get this really clean 4-step loop. Step 1, you speak. Step 2, Dialogflow does its thing, figures out the intent, and pulls out the entities. Step 3, it sends that info out for fulfillment. And finally, Step 4, your system does the work and sends a response back to you. Simple, powerful, and incredibly fast. All right, so we've got the basic building blocks down. Now comes your first really big decision if you're building one of these. You see, Dialogflow gives you 2 totally different ways to build agents, ES and CX. Let's dig into what that means. On one side, you have ES, which stands for Essentials. This is the original version, and it uses that context memory we just talked about to manage the conversation. It's fantastic for simpler bots, but it can get a little messy and unpredictable in really long, complex conversations. On the other side, you've got CX, or Conversational. It's newer, and it's built like a state machine, which is basically a visual flowchart for your conversation. Instead of just relying on memory, it follows a predefined map, giving you total, predictable control. This makes it perfect for complex situations where you just can't afford any mistakes. Let's really look at the key trade-offs here. When it comes to scalability, it's not even a contest. CX is built for huge teams with its modular design, while ES is much better suited for solo developers. But, and this is a big one, when it comes to language support, ES is the clear winner, with support for over 30 languages. And then, of course, there's the price. ES is way easier to get started with, thanks to its generous free tier, while CX is definitely a bigger investment aimed at big enterprise users. Okay, so the theory is great. We know the 2 main flavors, but how do you actually build one of these things? Let's quickly walk through what that development process looks like. The real beauty of Dialogflow is how streamlined it is. It's a very low-code approach. You start in the web console, create your agent, and then you just start teaching it. You define your intents by giving it examples of what a user might say. These are called training phrases. Then you just highlight or annotate the important entities in those phrases. After that, you build out the conversation flow, turn on fulfillment for any real-world actions, and finally, test it all in a built-in simulator before you deploy it to the world. So you've built this awesome agent. Where can it live? The answer is pretty much anywhere you want. Dialogflow is designed to be a central brain that can connect to a huge range of places. You've got these easy built-in integrations for platforms like Slack and Messenger, partner integrations for big enterprise phone systems, open source options for social media, and of course, a full API so you can build a totally custom solution for your own app or website. Whew! We have covered a ton of ground. We know what Dialogflow is, we know the difference between ES and CX, and we know the basics of how to build with it. So let's bring it all home with some clear, actionable advice on how you can choose the right tool for your project. All right, you should choose Dialogflow ES if your needs are pretty straightforward. It is absolutely perfect for simple FAQ bots, basic customer service agents, or any project that needs to serve a global audience, with all of its language options. Plus, that free tier makes it a no-risk way to get started and see if it works for you. On the other hand, you're going to want to choose Dialogflow CX when the stakes are higher. If you're building a really complex, multi-step conversation, like an airline booking agent or a technical support phone system, you need the precise, predictable control that CX's visual flowchart gives you. It's built from the ground up for large, collaborative, enterprise-level projects. And here's a final, really important piece of strategy for you. Pay close attention to this. Google is actively consolidating CX into its bigger Vertex AI platform. This move sends a really clear signal about their direction. CX isn't just an alternative anymore. It's being positioned as Google's flagship, generative-first future for enterprise AI. So there you have it. We've decoded the technology, all the way from a simple voice command to a powerful business tool. You now have the framework for understanding how these conversations get built. Which leads me to one final question for you. Now that you know how it's done, what's the first conversation you're going to automate?